Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
And we're here to give you this week's reading recommendations on New Comic Book Day. And one shot. Hey, look at that. What a great way to start April. Better than the weather, definitely, because it's been poopy so far. So, and we're only a day and a half in. So. All right, well, let's dive in. And this one will probably come as no surprise to people because it's one of our favorite writers and one of our favorite wings of the DC universe right now.
So this week I've got Absolute Green Lantern issue 1. Again, like no surprise. It's not like we haven't been enjoying all the Absolute books. Yeah. And I mean, hey, we're also pretty big Green Lantern fans too. So
yeah, absolutely.
What could go wrong? Turns out for the characters in this book, a lot actually.
Almost everything.
Yeah. So like we've talked a lot about with these and the Ultimate books is like a lot of the fun is just getting to see these characters that we know and are familiar with, and just getting them thrown into these situations that are like very different, but also like very familiar. So it's got like, it's a lot of the hallmarks of like weird alien stuff is coming down to Earth, trying people like encounter it and get strange powers. But maybe those strange powers are a little different here. The story is kind of split between what's happening currently with Hal. He's kind of like wandering around. Something's happened to him. He's really not doing okay. Like, so it's unclear like what exactly it is at first. And
well, he's wearing that heavy bomber jacket out in the desert. That's a bad idea.
No, like he gets stopped by this cop, and he's just like, "Man, you can keep walking, but you're not going to make it in this weather. Like, what are you doing?" And and like, and then like flashing back to a couple days beforehand, where it's him, Joe, and John are just kind of like hanging out. It seems like pretty much all the people that you know as like the Earth Green Lantern seem to like know each other somehow, like that they're friends. That like Guy gets mentioned, and there's some interesting stuff that's kind of seated with him, but they're just kind of hanging out, and then something starts happening in the town they're in, and they're not really sure. Like there's an accident with a motorcycle. There's this weird like bubble thing that appears, and it's a lot of it's very much a lot of kind of like literally throwing the reader. I mean, like, once you see like what the first arc is called, you kind of start to get an idea of like, oh yeah, we're supposed to very much be in the dark here,
right?
But and then like some other like kind of familiar faces show up, but they're not looking too familiar or friendly for that matter. And then at the end we kind of cut back to like what's going on with Hal now, and things are already escalating very quickly, it seems.
Yeah, and so it makes me kind of wonder, like, you know, the Green Lantern origin has been redone a number of different times. And maybe this one has a little more sinister twist to it.
Yeah, like Ewing, because Al Ewing writing this, obviously we love his stuff. His stuff is up here all the time. But he's said in multiple interviews that he's going for a lot more of like kind of a horror tone with this book, which obviously if you read Immortal Hulk, you know it's going to be good then, because like that man can write horror tinged superhero stuff super well. And so on that front, like firing on all cylinders. We were talking a bit beforehand, the artist on here, and I'm not super familiar with their work. I know they've done some other things for DC. Let me get their name here. Janoy Lindsay. Yeah, like they're like we were talking about, like their art style might be a little divisive for people reading this, because I think we both agree that like we more or less like we enjoy it. Like there's some stuff here that like I'm like maybe wondering like some of the coloring could be a little different kind of stuff, but like overall, like I don't know,
it's definitely got like a manga anime vibe, especially in like the freaked out expressions. That feel that very strongly.
But it's definitely like in the vein of like arguably some of the other like Absolute books, like not being like as comic booky as maybe like some people are used to with like their art styles, like in a similar way, like Dragotta and Sherman on their books like aren't exactly your like typical like superhero fare. Like,
or you know, Peach Momoko.
Which also great issue of Ultimate X-Men this week.
Through that one.
But no, I think, and especially like the little bits we get, like I think like once we get even more into the horror stuff, I think their stuff is really going to start to kind of like shine a bit more. Like I have a really good feeling that I can like nail that kind of stuff pretty well. But no, again, all the Absolute books have started off really strong, and this is no exception. Really enjoying this, really enjoying like the kind of interesting dynamic that the different Lanterns have with each other so far.
Yeah.
Because, like, again, it's like there's very much elements of the characters there, but then also, like, through, like, a lens that's, like, a little different. Mm-hmm. Like, it again, no complaints with this entire line so far. They've all hit for me really well. I know they've said there's at least like 1 or 2 more books coming that they might announce like sometime like late spring, early summer.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what those are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but until then, it's not like we've got a breadth of books to read from them or DC in general. So I couldn't be more happy with everything they're putting out. But that's my number 1. What's your number 1?
Yeah, Patrick? So I went with Beachhead one-shot from G.I. Joe Real American Hero. It's the Silent Missions specials. Mm-hmm. So this is the first one. We've got Jinx coming out in a week or 2, I think next week. So there's going to be a number of these silent issues, and they're based on the concept of G.I. Joe Real American Hero number 21, which I believe was published in 1983. And I think
we also have a copy in store right now.
So we've got a couple of the, there's a copy right up there of the original. And then also this week, the facsimile of it came out. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm going through and reading the giant compendium that came out this last fall, late summer, early fall. I don't remember now. But so I went back and reread that issue too. And so Larry Hama famously did the first one, and it's the first appearance of Storm Shadow, and it's when you start to get the inkling that Snake Eyes and Scarlet maybe have a deeper relationship than they hinted at it earlier. But so so anyway, we're going back 40 plus years later, and taking another run at this. And kudos to Image and Skybound and that whole team over there for really understanding the great part of the whole Energon universe, which this is a continuation of the original G.I. Joe comic book series that was at Marvel in the 80s. But kudos to them for picking up these properties and then also just having a real understanding of the history and an appreciation of what some of those books did. Because that silent issue was really just a massive, I don't want to say game changer, but it because there had been stuff kind of like that done before. But, you know, it kind of reminds me in an era where we can produce so much content so much more easily than we used to. They go in the letter from the editor at the back of the book. They talk about how Larry Hama did this because they were running up against the deadline and they had to get it out. And so one of the ways to do that was to cut the lettering and scripting part of it and be able to get the book done basically a week or 2 earlier. Well, you know, out of necessity comes great invention, and it is the most iconic G.I. Joe book, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah.
And so, and it's easy to just kind of say, oh, hey, that silent issue is cool. People like that. Let's just cash in on that. But what they did was, they took their time because they've had this property for like a year now.
Yeah.
And they put some really great creative teams on here. So it's a long way to go to say Phil Hester is, I've picked a number of books that Phil Hester has been on. Gotham Year One comes to mind as one of my favorites recently. And so Phil Hester does this Beachhead issue where basically Beachhead is fighting some members of Cobra, and it doesn't go well, and he's injured, and he's taken in and has to recover. And it's all done. There is not a single word of dialogue or narration or anything. It is a complete silent issue. And it's really cool. So I'm very excited to see which other ones come along. Now, I will say also, this doesn't really connect to the greater continuity here. So you can just pick up this as a one-shot, and it's seriously just a one-shot. Any familiarity with G.I. Joe, and you'll understand what's going on here. Even if you're not familiar, it's, the bad guys are pretty obvious and the good guys are pretty obvious. So, but it was really well done. And Phil Hester, to me, is such a great choice for this type of book because he gets so much action, and he's kind of, I don't know. I think of him as kind of like a somewhere between like Mike Mignola and Frank Miller. You know,
Yeah,
he gets a lot of that action with some kind of angular, funky, heavy blacks and that kind of stuff. But he gets that kind of captured energy that Frank Miller did, especially early in his career.
Honestly, like I'd argue he's probably one of the like great unsung artists of like the last like 20 years or so. Like he's someone who like I feel like you don't see him on like too many books, especially anymore. But anytime he does, like he always kills it. Like
yeah, and I think it seems to be that he's really appreciated by his peers, but you know he hasn't had that kind of fame that some artists will get. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think if you have any kind of fondness for the original G.I. Joe series, this is a must-have. If you're curious, or if you've been reading the new G.I. Joe series and you've been enjoying that, this is also a really good book. And if you just like cool art, like I just, and storytelling, because not that artists in comic books don't put a lot of thought into every panel, but man, he must have really agonized over every little detail in this to make it work, because he's got to do the entire narrative. So
and sometimes like one of the easiest ways to like want to check out a book is just being like, oh, I like this person's stuff, they're doing something, I should check it. Like even if you don't even have like familiarity or maybe not into the concept, like just like knowing that it's someone that like you personally like their stuff, because like funny enough, I don't really have much of an opinion on Resurrection Man, but I saw Ram B was doing
great segue. Let's just do it.
Yeah, so our joint pick this week is Resurrection Man, the Quantum Karma. Yeah.
Well, you knew Karma was going to come into it, and Ram B was the writer on it.
Yeah, but so... yeah, he's been teasing this book for a while, actually, as like something that he's wanted to do with DC for like a long time. And so it's super cool that he's finally getting to do it.
Yeah, so we've got some timey-wimey stuff, we've got some resurrection stuff, we've got some clockwork imagery, which never happens in DC. I don't know where they got that from. But
yeah, so if you're not familiar with Resurrection Man, I love they're doing this for each issue, where they've got the original co-creator Butch Geist is going to do like a little like page that kind of like fills you in with like kind of his character and backstory. And so basically he's a guy, every time he dies he comes back, but he also like gets powers based on how he dies, kind of thing. So it's
so like if he's electrocuted, he's got the ability to shoot lightning like the Emperor. So my only familiarity with Resurrection Man was New 52, because was it Dan Abbott, I believe, wrote that one, and
I think he's the original co-creator with Geist on
really?
From the 90s run.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
If I remember correctly, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure, because that was part of the
didn't realize he'd been writing that long.
Yeah, that's a weird thing with comics, is sometimes you find out like, oh, this person whose stuff I enjoy has been like it's super weird seeing like pre-Ultimates Brian Hitch art, because it's very different.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this, Ram V is the perfect writer to pick up an obscure character with a really weird power set. This book is dark. Dark.
And a lot of that is lovingly conveyed by, let me see if I can get the name right here, Anad RK. I think that's how you would pronounce it.
RK as in like the letters RK.
Who I think has done like other like indie books with Ram before, but wow, their stuff, it's almost like surreal in a way, like
the body horror scenes are both beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Like
the way that like just like the environment like kind of almost like intermeshes with like bodies in a way is just like super cool. I don't know how this book could like work without their art in a weird way. Like and I feel like you can say that with a lot of books, but like it just immediately, not even saying it would be bad, but if you had someone else doing the art here, it would immediately feel like a different book.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This was a perfect combination of creative teams. It's almost got kind of like a Watchmen movie vibe, you know what I mean? Like the body horror. Because it's got that level of realism. But there are definitely points where layers of people are missing.
But so basically the plot of this book is like Mitch, Resurrection Man, he's kind of at the end of one of his lives, but this one's weird. Like something like different happens afterwards, and he's kind of like given this whole spiel about like, hey, this is like, and he's basically told friend like, hey, this time it's different. Like, like there's some weird stuff going on, and you need to be involved.
This shrouded figure visits him.
Yeah, and like he's like, at this point, he's kind of like, I don't know, man. Like I've been doing this long enough. What's the point anymore?
Right.
And like he kind of gets this like flashback to kind of like help illustrate like the potential like level of the threat, and it's very interesting dive back into his past, but also introducing what appears to be like a possible like antagonist for the series going forward.
I think that's the direction we're going. I think
terrifying.
We just got the villain origin story.
Yeah.
And it is just disturbing in a way that I really, really liked. It was so cool.
No, I like
horrible. Yeah. Horrible, but so cool.
Yeah, the potential like problem they're setting up here. And like, then
I'm a little worried about Ram V, if we're being honest, because there's starting to be a theme in some of his books.
Yeah, but it's an interesting theme though. Like,
Armie Hammer thinks so.
Yeah, if you were a fan of rare flavors, there's definitely a certain flavor from that in here.
Yep.
But which, if you're not a fan of rare flavors, highly recommend going to check it out.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Again, one of his like best works. I feel
it's
like
so good. It's straight art.
Yeah.
Book, yeah.
But like, between this and New Gods, and I feel like he's said he's got something else coming. I don't know if it's necessarily like a DC book,
God, there is something else kind of big that's coming up. That's they've been talking about. I can't remember what it is now.
The man, like you throw him at something and he basically will, like, you can give him coal and he'll press it into a diamond, no problem.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, but I again can't say enough about how much we enjoyed this book, and again, like how much like Anad's art really like again like the clockwork stuff you were talking about, like just the way it's familiar in a way, but at the same time like feels like alien. At this, like it's so good at like making you feel like familiar but also uncomfortable with the things.
It definitely works within the DC kind of understanding of how the universe works. And everything. I thought that it fit exceptionally well there. It was just a really good book. Pick this one up. It's really good. And how many issues is this one going to be? 5?
I think 5 or 6 probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a Black Label book, so those usually don't go too long. But
right.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, which means they also can do anything that they want to with the toys in the toy box, because it won't mess with main DC continuity. So you can just pick it up and enjoy it and not have to worry about whatever ramifications there are. All right, well, what else did you like this week? Because it was a big week. We had a lot of books come out.
We were talking, both you and I were talking about, almost probably made it up here, new issue of Moon Knight.
It was so good. I was telling you that there has been, the level of humor in this Jed MacKay era of Moon Knight has been great. This was the funniest one that I've read so far, and in a really good way.
I mean, 8 Ball gets the shine, and I love me some 8 Ball, so...
It was very good April Fool's thing. They had me going for like 1 page. And then I went back and I looked at it and I was like, I should have seen that.
No, yeah.
So but it was good. I loved it.
That was good. Secret Six continues to be, because that was one I really wasn't sure about when it was originally announced, but I've been very much enjoying it. I love how like kind of like messy and awful everyone is, and then there's poor Superman having to deal with everyone's nonsense.
Sure. Yeah, what a great straight man for their goofiness. Yeah.
Yeah, so like that's been fun. Do we have any shelf copies of I Heart Skull Crusher since that finally came out with it? Yes, we do.
Yeah.
That one, it's been on hiatus for a bit, but it comes back, and it's one of those books where like, because it's been a bit like, is it as good as I remember? Then the new issue comes out and just like, yes, I remember why I love this the whole time.
Sure.
There's more bits about the bear, which I always appreciate when they poke fun. Like, wait, why is the bear here? Like,
yeah.
But no, anything stick out to you this week?
Absolute Superman. I'm still really enjoying that book. We get to see Absolute Ma and Pa Kent.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, his backstory just keeps getting more and more tragic. But this is the start of the new story arc, right?
I think it's got it's like a little interlude before the...
Yeah, so you can probably expect that this will be the first one in volume 2 graphic novel, right?
I would say
this will be the kickoff. So, so we get some good backstory. we get some more, I wouldn't say character development, but character understanding.
Yeah.
Because it's not really him growing as a character or a person. You get more kind of.
You get that bridge between like where we see him at after like spoiler Krypton exploding, and then like where we see him now. We kind of start to see like how that path starts.
Yeah, it's been really good, and I'm still really enjoying the art. And we get a new baddie introduced in this.
Yeah,
one, probably should have seen that one coming.
Yeah, it's one where it's just like it's not like super surprising, but I'm curious to see like what they do with it.
Yeah,
because it's a very different choice than some of his like usual.
Yeah, there's some kind of cult like vibes coming off of this one. Yeah, like robed figures and everything, chanting his name. Yeah, no, that was really good. Yeah, I'm enjoying a lot of stuff, and like I said, the silent issue facsimile, that's definitely worth picking up too, or get the real deal.
Yes.
We've got
both
copies, or both.
Because one to display and one to read.
Yeah, it was a good week this week. All right, well, we have got a number of things to announce. So the building is officially ours. We own our new property on 731 South Front Street. So we'll be having a grand reopening sometime at the end of April, beginning of May, if all things go well. In that same timeline, Free Comic Book Day is coming up on May 3rd. And if you haven't experienced Free Comic Book Day yet, it is awesome. The energy, the air just kind of crackles. It's just kind of one of those days. And we get a whole bunch of people, both young and old, that are very curious about reading comic books, and they want to try some stuff out. And this is, exactly what this is designed for. But also, there end up being a lot of books that either are good primers for a series that's already going on, or teasers for new events or books that are coming out. So, Marvel, DC obviously have a lot of their headlining characters that'll be on books. The Energon universe has got something that's kind of teasing maybe an event, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, we're coming up on 2 years almost of the Energon book, so...
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Holy crap. Yeah, well, I suppose we're about to get a Transformers Volume 3 coming out pretty soon here, yeah? Crazy. Yeah. Which we just restocked on Transformers Volume 1.
No, nice. Very nice.
Yesterday. So if you've been waiting for a copy of that to come back in, we can't keep it in stock. It's crazy. Also, Invincible has been flying off the shelf. And we've got restocks that came in recently, and then we've got some more that are coming because we already sold out. But yeah, Free Comic Book Day, get here. There'll be... we're working with a couple creators to have them here for the event. Yeah, and then local guys that are self-publishing. So that gives them the opportunity to be able to get some exposure, but then that also gives people an opportunity to come chat with them about the trials and tribulations of getting their work out there. There's free comics. There's we'll be running all kinds of deals because it'll be our grand reopening at 731 South Front Street. So Free Comic Book Day, and we're moving, and the new location's going to be great. I just have to kill myself between now and then working on it to have it all ready to go. So if it smells like paint on Free Comic Book Day, you'll know that we cut it close.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, we will be back next week. In the meantime, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, comment, share. And am I missing anything? Oh, stop on into the store here and get your comics for New Comic Book Day. Support your local comic shops. If it's us, that's great. If it's somebody else, that's great too. What's good for all of us is good for all of us. So more comics, the better. We will be back next week with more Pulp Picks, and until then, enjoy the reading.